At Pure Storage, the opportunity for change and our commitment to a sustainable future are a direct reflection of the way we've always operated and the values we live by every day. That includes the planning process in creating experiences like this year's Pure Accelerate Tech Fest 22. By embracing an outdoor festival vibe at the LA Live rooftop deck, we continue our commitment to the planet and its people. And that means an event that is all pure for our customers, partners, and employees. Sustainability impacts all of us. It is social. It is economic. It is environmental. It is energy conservation and the right kind of energy created when we come together as peers, promoting responsible environmental practices. Even hybrid events, like this year's Pure Accelerate, mean less emissions, less travel, less carbon footprint. We are making significant and immediate impact worldwide through our environmental sustainability efforts. The milestones of change can be seen everywhere, in everything we do. Pure's Evergreen storage architecture delivers two key environmental benefits to customers: the reduction of wasted energy and the reduction of e-waste. Additionally, Pure's implemented a series of product packaging redesigns promoting recycle and reuse in order to reduce waste that will not only benefit our customers, but also the environment. Pure is committed to doing what is right and leading the way with innovation. That has always been the Pure difference. Making a difference by enabling our customers to drive out energy usage in their data storage systems by up to 80%. Today, more than 97% of Pure arrays purchased 6 years ago are still in service. And tomorrow, our goal for the future is to reduce Scope 3 emissions. Pure is committing to further reducing our sold products emissions by 66% per petabyte by 2030. All of this means what we said at the beginning: change that is simple. And that is what it has always been about. Pure has a vision for the future. Today, tomorrow, forever.
Everyone, please welcome Chief Executive Officer Charles Giancarlo.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's really lovely to see you. It's lovely to be with you. As you can tell, I think very much now at Pure, we're focused on the future. We're focused on, on making the world better. And, the inspiration is right behind me. My family is my first grandchild of my family. And actually the family of everybody at Pure, and frankly, then extended it beyond that. We're really here to help everybody's family be a bit better. Now, our children, right, are probably going to inherit a world that is a bit more challenged than the one that we inherited, right? And our responsibility is really to enable our children to have a better world, right? And we're in an industry that's really going to be a very fundamental part of making the world a better place, right? We're in an industry that is driving big data analytics. We're driving education. We're driving healthcare. We're helping the world to be able to create solutions to some of the world's toughest problems, right? Healthcare, peaceful coexistence, the ability to be able to create environments that allow people to live a better life. And, our ability to focus and to deliver solutions like this is going to allow, first of all, Pure to help you in your endeavors to build a better world with the things that you do. And in order to do that, we have to lead, right? We have to lead, not follow. And how do we lead? Well, for us, it's about building the best products that provide the best possible performance and capability, while at the same time leaving the world in a better place afterwards, right? Which means making them energy efficient, making them space efficient, producing less waste, and using less labor. And that's the promise that we're making. So I want to thank you for joining us today in this endeavor. I know you've all traveled, a long way to be with us, and so the time and the effort that you've invested in this is really something that we very much appreciate. I want to thank you. There's over 1,000 of you here today, about 8,000 joining us virtually, which is great fun to have all of that. Thank you. Pure really was founded based on an observation that data storage, had fallen into commodity thinking. Our competitors, I think for many years, for over a decade, had actually been quite proud to pronounce that data storage was a commodity, and that the real focus should be on price. As long as it meets the level of performance that you need and the features that you need, then at that point, they're all the same. It's just on price. And that was really good for them in many ways. It meant that they could reduce the amount of R&D that they spent. They could make it all much more profitable. In many cases, those vendors were commodity players producing other commodity products, so it allowed them to consolidate what they were doing into fewer parts. So that was, it really drove the entire industry into commodity thinking. And I think that also it created somewhat of a Stockholm syndrome for our customers. Customers started to feel that, well, this is the best that it can possibly be. I'm getting it for cheap. And so the fact that I'm getting, poor performance, poor reliability, poor customer service, well, this is natural. This is just the way the industry is. If you know Stockholm Syndrome, it means that captives, start to sympathize with their captors. And we really saw that if data is the fuel of the future, if data centers are continuing to advance, if we're going to advance our ability to be able to analyze that data, then data storage and management has to advance at the same rate as the rest of the industry. And so the opportunity to really advance the science really created an opportunity for a company like us. So we recognized, and the insight that we had at first was that solid-state storage, meaning, and in our case, flash storage, really represented a huge opportunity to change this entire environment, because we would be going from mechanical to semiconductor to solid state. And that meant we could go from managing things very mechanically to having software that really changed the way that this system would operate. And we recognized that data was not going to be a commodity. It was going to be a very valuable asset. And people had to move forward. I don't think you would be with us today, frankly, spending your time if you thought that data storage and management was a commodity. You realize that it is, in fact, high technology. And it has to be advanced. There has to be innovation. So this allows us to really provide products. This insight that it is high technology allows us to really focus on driving the business forward. It's allowed us to lead, frankly, the industry almost since we got started. 8 years, at the top of the industry in terms of innovation. And today, what I want to tell you is that we're very excited. I have to tell you, I've got some very excited speakers in the green room. They are so excited to talk to you today. And in fact, I can hardly hold it back myself. I'd like to give you all the news right now, but I'm going to leave some for them. Because we're really going to be advancing the state of the art today, and you're going to see that. Now, there are three things that really get us very excited. The first, I'd say, is the cloud operating model. We're bringing a lot of our focus is on bringing more and more technology that's going to allow you to operate your data center, your hybrid cloud environment, more like the hyperscalers. The second is that we're going to bring solutions to you that are easy, simple. They're the right solution today. They'll be the right solution for you tomorrow. And in fact, they'll be the right solution for you next year and next decade. We're going to talk to you about Evergreen and how our systems never get old. And then finally, and last but certainly not least, we're going to bring you forever the best customer experience in the IT world. with a strong partner ecosystem. And that's something that we're very dedicated to. And so what we're really here to say is that we're here to fix everything that's wrong with the data storage industry. We want to deliver to you the best experience, the easiest, the lowest operating cost, the greenest, and you can probably read my mind here, the evergreenest. So sorry about that. I know it's corny, but we're going to bring you the evergreenest for sure. All right. So actually, I want to do a sidebar. How many of you in the audience are primarily focused, maybe not so much on the technology, but on the business bottom line, on operational efficiency? Can I get a show of hands? Who's focused on the bottom line? Okay, great. I want to talk to you for a second. Why should you worry about data storage? Because isn't it all the same, right? Isn't it the case that it is a commodity business, right? One vendor is as good as another, and shouldn't you just leave it to the engineers, right? Because really, it's the processing of the data, don't you think? Well, what if I told you that Pure's products, our products, the only products in the industry that never get old? Now, by the way, I wish that I could subscribe to this. I wish I had an Evergreen subscription to my life. There's a reason I wear a hat, right? So I wish I could get an automatic hardware upgrade to give me a full head of hair. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. But at Pure, we have sold products for 10 years. We have products that we sold 10 years ago. And if you were to, it's still in service today, but not just, it's not a 10-year-old product that's still in service. It's a product that looks like our current model, or maybe our current model -1 today. Not only software upgrade, hardware upgrades without ever having taken the application environment down, without ever doing a data migration, without disrupting the customer environment, right? It's like, driving to work and you find out when you get out of the car, having not stopped, that it's a new car. It's really almost a magic capability. This is something that no one else does in the industry. So wouldn't this reduce your long-term costs and your overall risk to your business? All right, so what if I told you, for the people, again, that are really focused on the bottom line, that we provide, very flexible pricing, everything from 100% CapEx, so you buy it, you own it, to 100% OpEx, where we own it and you use it, and you only pay us for what you use, and you'll see today options in between, complete flexibility in terms of the way that you might own it. Doesn't this give you a lot of financial flexibility? Let me ask you, do you have shareholders and maybe even employees and customers asking you, about ESG, about what you're doing for the environment and what's your environmental footprint? What if I told you that Pure is delivering products that, first of all, compared to disk, use 1/10 the power, space, and cooling, and even compared to competitors' all-flash products, use up to 80% less power and cooling, and often about a half of the floor space and e-waste of competitive products? Is this going to help you in your ESG journey? I think so. So, at Pure, we go beyond just technology for technologists. We can help the actual bottom line. All right, now for those of you that have, big digital transformation goals, what if I told you that it's Pure that's leading in terms of developing the technology and the roadmap for allowing you to operate your data centers, your private cloud, your hybrid cloud, the way that hyperscalers operate theirs? Not just in terms of saving costs and operations, but enabling you to deliver to your internal developers a more flexible operation. Wouldn't your internal developers, wouldn't your company benefit by having that more flexible, more agile environment? I think so, right? So, these are the things that we're very much focused on as we go forward. But probably more important than anything else, and certainly the most important thing we do in the company, is make our customers happy. And what if I told you that we had not only the highest net promoter score, in our industry, But frankly, in almost all B2B industries, we have a top 1% score in Net Promoter Score. And this is a third party measured across every element of the way customers interact with us. Would you rather be treated to first class, upgrade to first class rather than flying coach, or in some cases, baggage service? All right, so we really want to be your best provider of technology, the best economic provider, the best environmental provider as we go forward. So really what we're trying to say is we want to uncomplicate data storage for you forever, and not just for your IT team, for your finance organization, for all of your stakeholders that you have inside the company, including your developers, and in fact, by environmental footprint, even your customers and as well as your investors who look at that. Every announcement we have today is going to be along these lines, and it's why how we were founded, what we're focused on, and in order to do this, it takes a lot of investment. We'll invest about 20% of revenue in R&D this year, in an industry that on average spends less than 5%. Having managed very large R&D centers before, you can barely keep the lights on at 5%. You can barely keep up with the next rev of chips, of processors, of flash, and SSDs that come out. So unless a company is willing to invest this amount, they're never going to be able to lead. And it really creates the situation that I've talked about over the last few weeks, which is Pure just plays a very different game than our competitors. Our competitors decided long ago that storage was a commodity, and they've built their entire business model around commodity. Pure looks at storage, and we say, this is high technology. It has to advance at the same pace as the rest of the high technology industry, and we invest accordingly. All right, so today we're going to talk about 4 major trends. And this is based on where we're investing, our funds as we go forward. And by the way, it's not just investment; it's the overall quality of your R&D staff, of your company, in terms of moving forward with technology, because technologists, engineers, they're smart people. They know how much it takes to invest in order to build a leadership product. And if you don't quite invest at that level, they leave. They go elsewhere. Engineers, like everybody else, want to win. And because they want to win, they want to go to a place that is investing seriously, where they know that they can win. So the first of these major trends that we're focused on is the cloud operating model. We introduced subscription services with Evergreen almost since our founding, and that was years ago. And Evergreen provided a true subscription service. So if you subscribe to some kind of SaaS service, whether it's Dropbox or anything else, you subscribe to the service, and it consistently gets better. And of course, behind the scenes, they're replacing the hardware, they're replacing the software, but there's no disruption to you, right? It just keeps getting better over time. Well, we did the same thing for the first time, on-prem. Just keeps getting better, with the subscription, and you don't have to worry about disruption during that process. And it was the first step, if you will, to SaaSify a customer experience, in a equipment business, to be direct, right? It was a full equipment business, but we gave a SaaS kind of experience with it. The second step was with something that formerly known as Pure as a Service. You'll see that's been renamed today. Pure as a Service took that concept and said, well, instead of you owning it, we'll own it, we'll manage it, and now you get all the benefits of a service level agreement for data storage and management, but you don't have to pay up front, right? SaaSification, again, but of something that's on-prem. Well, the next generation of this, and to take it to its full realization of a cloud operating model, is something we're calling, I think the industry is starting to call now, infrastructure as code, right? And it's the idea that you can build infrastructure and completely control it, manage it, have it be orchestrated, but also offer it then to your internal customers as code. So that allows you to have first of all, less work in operations, but a faster innovation cycle for your developers. And let's rewind the tape a bit. Why did your developers flock to the cloud? Why did they go to the cloud? Now, if you read a lot of the press will often say, well, customers want to outsource their data centers. They want to get out of the data center business. That's not why developers went to the cloud. Developers didn't care about that. What developers cared about is they didn't want to wait 4 weeks, 6 months for infrastructure, right? If they were developing something new, they needed server capability, they needed data storage. They could go to one of the cloud providers, plop down their credit card, and within a few minutes or maybe an hour, define the infrastructure they needed and get access to it, right? And they only paid for what they used. The reason why developers flocked to the cloud was just because they didn't have to wait, right? And they could define exactly what they wanted and get it within minutes. This is the capability that we want to bring to you, to your private data center and capabilities. Allow you to build an infrastructure that developers can modify by their code to be what they want when they want it. We want to give you that same capability. You define data services that are proprietary to you, that meet your compliance, meet your regulatory, meet your price performance requirements that you want to provide. And then you provide, through the service that we help you with, APIs to your developers, and they get access to it right away. It's going to make you, and by the way, those services include things like resiliency, data protection, security, all defined by you as the administrator, but then available as APIs to your developers. Now, another step along that way is containers and Kubernetes. Right? Kubernetes, is the control plane, if you will, that allows, containers to be automatically orchestrated. And we're very fortunate. Some years ago, we acquired a capability called Portworx. We've continued to invest in it. In fact, today we have something like, I think, 3 times the number of developers, of, marketing, salespeople involved in working with Portworx. It is the leading capability in the area. It really makes it easy to define data storage and data management services for your developers. It allows them to be consistent across all the applications that your wide range of developers are working on, but also consistent across clouds, because it works on-prem, works in all of the major cloud customers, cloud hyperscalers, and your applications and your data management can be consistent across all of that. And so it actually makes the cloud better because the cloud now is a true multi-cloud, true hybrid cloud with greater consistency. And it allows your developers to be accelerated. They don't have to worry about all the details of data storage, data protection, data management, replication, et cetera, even backup. These things can be done automatically, and from your perspective, done consistently across the enterprise. Okay, and the next step is we've now upgraded that capability with something we call Portworx Data Services. Portworx Data Services goes the next step, and it says, okay, it's not just about data storage, but it's about the applications that manage data. Things like next generation NoSQL databases, things like search engines, things like being able to easily bring in data protection additional data protection capabilities, and it makes it standardized and automatic, pre-configured, configured in a way that's secure for you, and available again as APIs for your developers. Now your developers get access to a dozen different NoSQL databases, to these different data protection capabilities without needing a PhD in how to configure all of this. And again, you get consistency. So that's for next generation cloud native, so-called cloud native applications. What about traditional applications, which is the majority of what you have today? Well, we introduced Pure Fusion at our last Accelerate meeting. Pure Fusion is this idea, again, of completely automating how data storage and data management operates in a multi-cloud environment, creating a unified and simple control plane so that instead of data being restricted to individual arrays, it now operates as a pool of storage across not just your data center, across your cloud of data centers, and in fact, across the public cloud, your multi-cloud of data centers. It makes it simple, first of all, through policy, setting up policy, to orchestrate data movement, data migration, data access, across the data center, but also then provides APIs to your developers so they get access to it through code and through APIs. This is the way that we're simplifying your operation of your data centers and of your multi-cloud environment. Now, you put these two things together, and really what you have is that cloud operating model. And what I'm really pleased to say is both Portworx Data Services as well as Pure Fusion are available today. We made them GA just a couple of weeks ago. And I do want to thank, there are a number of you in the audience, a number of our customers who really helped us in terms of defining the first versions of these products as they came out, guided us on our journey. We really want to thank you. It really helped. It's very helpful, and I know for you, it's really allowing you to start to automate your operation, and so pleased that we could work with you on this. All right, so next is the next, can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. As we continue down the path of automating, really what we want to do is be able to completely uncomplicate your world and uncomplicate the world for developers as well. We want data storage and management to be available to your developers as a service and allow them to get access as APIs and really enable this cloud operating model to exist, not just in individual hyperscalers, but for you to operate in the very, very same way. Okay, that's not all. The second step that we're taking, the second major message, is creating the all-flash data center. Why is that important? Well, as I mentioned before, mechanical hard disk is holding you back from modernization. It's a mechanical product. Solid state, typewriters, not as good as PCs in terms of writing a document, right? It's pretty straightforward. Tying a bunch of typewriters together doesn't give you a PC. Okay, so being able to go down solid state is going to reduce your footprint, your environmental footprint, the amount of floor space that you need in your data centers, but it's also going to give you all of these other benefits that we talked about. The ability to operate in a cloud operating model, the ability to have higher performance, lower latency, and so forth. Now, the trouble was, everybody loves solid state. The problem was always the cost, right? Solid state, it really only penetrated the primary storage market. But now with our leadership in the way that we use Flash, and now with QLC, we're able to not only be able to provide the high performance that solid state provides with the advantages, we're also now able to compete with disk at the second tier on a price basis. And that's not even considering TCO, right? The fact that we use less energy and so forth. Less labor, less power, less cooling, less space. But now, even on a purchase price basis, we're able to compete with standard disk. And we're able to do it now, not just with the FlashArray product, with FlashArray//C, but you'll see in a few minutes, I'm going to spill a few beans here, we're going to be doing it in FlashBlade as well. So going after unstructured data, which is the largest portion of data still on hard disk, we're going to be able to accelerate that cost reduction, give you all the benefits of solid state. Of course, we lead with in the area of QLC. Why do we lead in that area? Well, we're the only vendor that utilizes raw flash. We don't go through SSDs. SSDs, they mimic hard disk. They mimic hard disk because that made it easy for everyone from laptop manufacturers to server manufacturers to storage manufacturers, and in fact, even hyperscalers, to leverage the software they had before with hard disk and now use it with flash. The problem is it makes a computer look like a typewriter. It makes solid state look like a mechanical device. because of the work that we put into to Flash in the beginning, and now QLC, we alone are able to drive those price performance benefits to you. Now, there's another benefit that solid state provides that I mentioned, which is simplicity. The simplicity of operation. You don't need a lot of nerd knobs. You don't need a lot of tuning to be able to tune an all-flash system such as Pure. And we have a video that I think you'll enjoy that shows what that simplicity actually means. Let's roll it.
I am Richard Colgrove, and yes, that is 7-year-old me. In 2012, my dad, probably known to most of you as Cause, challenged me to help show how easy and simple it is to install Pure Storage's very first product, FlashArray. So, at the office with just a set of instructions and the FlashArray system, I went at it. Now, I am 18 years old, and a decade later, Pure is still hard at work to make things uncomplicated.
Right, Dad. This is a simple, single-click deployment of Portworx data services. Do our parents have exceptional children? We think so. But simplicity and uncomplicating data storage has always been a part of Pure. Since the very beginning. Pure believes in fostering the advancements of technology for youth through STEM organizations like Girls Start, Chiquitas, and STEMmet, and we are proud to support these organizations.
Pure, advancing the future of tomorrow's workforce and youth, today, tomorrow, and forever.
Well, wasn't that fun? Yeah, that was great. I saw that for the first time yesterday. I thought it was fantastic. Well, we invested in Flash, obviously from the beginning. We customized our code. The code was focused right on Flash from the beginning. We don't support mechanical. Couldn't if we tried. Take us years to modify our code to support mechanical, just like it would take years of our competitors to really support raw Flash. So we were the first in primary storage for SAN with all Flash. We were the first for unstructured data for all Flash with our FlashBlade product. As you can see, we're the first for secondary storage with QLC, replacing magnetic, and we beat them, in every respect, performance, density, etc. And now we're beating disk as well, especially hybrid arrays on price. So it's really moving very much forward, and. When you're comparing us against disk, it really is 10 times the performance at 1/10 the space, power, and cooling. So quite a huge effect on the environment. But now increasingly with energy costs going up, electricity going costs. I spent 5 weeks in Europe, and the focus on product that can reduce overall energy costs is absolutely astounding and tremendous. And that really brings us to efficiency and effectiveness. It was really our history that has allowed us to lead in this environmental journey. You might say, well, it's Pure. You never really spoke about this in the past. So how is it that all of a sudden we're hearing about this environment? Well, I started at Pure almost 5 years ago. Almost from the beginning, as I'd go in to see customers and sometimes prospects, and I'm speaking the benefits of our product. I would say, one of the big benefits of our product is we use less power, space, and cooling. Shortest conversation ever. Nobody cared. They basically said, well, that's nice, but somebody else pays for electricity. I could care less. What's your price? What are your features, et cetera? Nobody cared. Well, about 6 months ago, all of a sudden, everybody starts caring. So we have been talking about this, but it's just not been a subject that really turned many heads. As I mentioned, in Europe now, energy costs extraordinarily important as a buying criteria. ESG, every RFP we get now has ESG as one of their top priorities. So this is something that's coming our way and is going to continue to be, I think, very important for quite some time. Now, how did we get there? Well, because of our early focus on Flash. Remember, Flash was very expensive. In some ways still is compared, as you go down the ranks of second tier, third tier. But because at the very beginning for primary storage it was very expensive, we had to really focus on driving down the overall system cost. And we did that with software by using very efficient use of Flash. We did it by really focusing on data reduction, on deduplication. We did it by really reducing the amount of common equipment necessary to be able to support a Flash system. Well, when you do all of that, you use fewer components. If you use fewer components, you're using less energy. And so between the two things, automatically we were a company that probably wasn't our focus to be more environmentally friendly, but because we focused on using less material, it meant that we were more environmentally friendly. So this has given us, again, that lead that I spoke of, the same lead that allows us to lead in all Flash and on using raw Flash, gives us the lead in an environment that I think we're going to retain for many, many years. So we're going to continue to enhance all of these products that enable us to keep this lead. Everything from Purity to our direct Flash, and frankly, even our Evergreen One subscription, formerly known as Pure as a Service, which also allows us to recycle these products continuously, further reducing our e-waste. And so, our goal with these subscriptions, our goal as we continue forward with these designs, is to really deliver a more reliable, longer life, lower power system than anybody else in the world. And from that standpoint, nobody else uncomplicates sustainability like Pure. All right. So, oh yes, one last thing that I wanted to mention. Years ago we expanded into unstructured data with FlashBlade, and again, this is another area where it's really hard for me to not spill the beans. But we have a major expansion of FlashBlade that we're announcing today. This next generation of FlashBlade, the original FlashBlade really focused on high performance unstructured data. This version of FlashBlade is going to cover unstructured data across an extraordinarily wide range of performance. It's incredibly scalable. It's incredibly price effective. It is going to cover the entire ground of unstructured data that enterprises need as they go forward and expand in this area. And what's really exciting is it's available today. It's gone GA last week. This is not something that's a year down the road. This is something that's available more. So right now. So what I'd like you to do, though, is stay tuned. We're going to have some great speakers. We've got Ajay Singh, we've got Amy, we've got Matt, we've got Murli. Prakash will be coming up speaking more about Pure as a Service. We've got Subi coming up. So this is going to be a great fun. And look forward to I'll be here with you listening to it myself. So this has all been, I have to say, in many ways inspired by you. When I first came on board, we largely had one product. And I'd asked for feedback, and the feedback was, unlike many places I've been in my life, uniformly good. And when I asked what more we could do, they said, well, you only really cover about 10% of our product needs. It'd be great if you could bring these same capabilities to other areas that we as a customer, that we buy data storage and management from. So really, you did inspire us, and you reward our innovation with a great NPS. You reward it by becoming bigger customers, by becoming new customers, And you can't imagine the pride and the passion that this inspires in our team. They really get very, especially at things like this. You know, I want to thank you all. You really inspire a lot of passion in our team. And I want to thank you for making us your trusted partner in this. It's really something that, you know, being able to work together to build a better environment, to build better products, you know, is something that we very much appreciate. You know, at Pure, we take great pride in making hard things simple. And I couldn't help but, you know, notice that our friends, you know, down the way here that are super protected and brought in extra security for us, that they excel in making simple things hard. But sorry about that. But we focus on making hard things simple. And, you know, we're very fortunate to be working with such great customers and partners to, you know, power your data and help you to use that data to power your growth. All right, so speaking of innovation, we have some innovation awards. We've got what we call Breakthrough Award winners, and we're really delighted to celebrate them today. And we're recognizing Pure customers that have really put a lot of time and effort to use data to improve their world or their customers' world. They've blazed, you know, a digital path to digital transformation, and they're very much focused on the future. And really, they should. They inspire us at Pure. They should really inspire us all. So with that, I'd like to congratulate Barclays, Folding at Home, Ford Motor Company, KDDI, the Mississippi Department of Revenue, and SiriusXM. Now, for those of the people that are attending virtually, you'll be able to break out and find them on the website that you're using. And for those of you that are live, they're going to be in our pavilion here right behind you. And you'll be able to see, and they'll be explaining you know, how they're using data service and management to create a better world for themselves and for their customers. Okay, moving on. You know, in closing, we do want to uncomplicate your data storage and management forever. And as I said, not just for the IT organization, but for your developers, for your finance organization, for the people in your organization that are concerned with ESG, you know, and an environmental impact. You know, for us, we think that innovation is not a buzzword. We invest serious money in innovating each and every year. For us, you know, simplicity, making things simple is not easy. It really is hard work. It's easy to make things hard. It's hard to make things easy. So it's one of our founding principles. You know, Kaz that you saw up there, from very focused on, said, I don't need a manual for an iPhone. Why should I need a manual for data storage? And that's carried on to this day. Evergreen for us isn't services. Evergreen is part of our overall design philosophy, allowing you, once you buy a product or use a product, that it's new all the time without disruption. And then finally, for us now, sustainability isn't a slogan. You know, we're not going to greenwash this. It's core to our design philosophy. We really want to build product that just use less energy, right? You can go out and, you know, and buy you know, carbon credits and all of that, but to get to the very basis of what makes the world better, using less energy, using less parts, having a lower footprint, you can't beat that. That's where it all starts. And I'll just come back to the fact that, you know, at Pure we play a different game than the rest of the industry. For us, storage, data storage and management is high technology. It's worthwhile of serious investment. It's not a commodity. And if you want a commodity, there are plenty of vendors that provide that. But at Pure, we're going to continue investing as if it's high technology. Our team works really quite tirelessly on this, on the benefits of simplicity. We do want to uncomplicate your world. And we look forward to doing it today and continuing to do this with you for many years in the future. And I look forward to getting together with you repeatedly to hear from you how we can do a better job each and every day. So I want to thank you again for your time. And now it's time for me to turn the stage over to our Chief Marketing Officer, Jason Rose.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Charlie. All right, well, good morning. It's so wonderful to see so many of you here in person again. It's a whole new game. It's great to see everybody here in LA. A big shout out and hello to our folks tuning in online. Thank you so much for joining us. And we have an absolutely incredible agenda for you. And I've got to say, I am so excited to uncomplicate data storage forever. If we kind of think about the agenda for today, I've got to say we've got some of the most amazing announcements in the entire industry. Literally, some of these projects have been worked on for years, and we're going to unveil them for you today. So you heard Charlie talk about the power of Evergreen, our sustainability, and an overall portfolio. So I'm really excited. Ajay is going to take us through the overall portfolio and how we're bringing all of these pieces together. Then Matt and Amy are going to talk about the next generation of FlashBlade, which is something we're all super excited about as we think about the world of unstructured data and the explosion in information that we're all witnessing. And then we're going to look at Murli and Serbi, and they're going to talk about how we're bringing this to modern applications, containers, and Kubernetes, which I think is absolutely incredible. And then we're going to deliver it all as a service with Prakash. Finally, Kaz is going to talk about how the world has simplified or been uncomplicated in many different ways. Of course, we wouldn't be here without you. So I want to say a big shout out and thank you to our customers. I want to say a big shout out and thank you to all the Pure employees that helped bring this together, as well as many of them are actually in office right now doing watch parties, because this is a big moment, not just for the industry, but for our company overall. And finally, I'd like to thank our partners, particularly Cisco, Cohesity, Intel, SHI, and Veeam, for helping sponsor everything that you're seeing here and online. So a big shout out, round of applause for our partners for helping make this possible. Now with that, I'd like to bring onto stage our Chief Product Officer, Ajay Singh. Yeah, great, Ajay.
Hello, I'm Ajay Singh, Pure's Chief Product Officer, and I am super excited to tell you about how our vision integrates our foundation of simplicity and reliability with three major market trends that are impacting organizations large and small. First, adoption of the cloud operating model everywhere. Second, the increase of modern cloud-native applications. And third, the shift to modernizing today's data infrastructure with all flash. Customers want a new experience from their on-prem infrastructure. They want the cloud experience. Flexibility, agility, and speed to access are now more important than reliability and performance alone. Organizations are modernizing their infrastructure, platforms, and operations to support agility, accelerate innovation, and they want to avoid the heavy upfront costs and expensive over-provisioning. They want to pay for what they use. Pure has always architected its portfolio for the needs of customers today and tomorrow. Our portfolio delivers on our vision to uncomplicate data storage forever, enabling you, our customers, to modernize your infrastructure, operations, and applications. We are leading the way to modernize storage infrastructure in our relentless pursuit of delivering the all-flash data center by building on our direct-to-flash strengths, including mainstreaming unstructured data management with fast file and object storage. We are committed to helping you modernize your operations by delivering our cloud operating model, modern cloud-oriented services, management and automation across on-premises, private and public cloud environments, but with more outcome-oriented as-a-service SLAs. We are focused on helping you modernize your applications. We are powering modern software initiatives, whether it is meeting the needs of modern unstructured data applications or supporting container-based cloud-native applications with the industry's most robust and complete Kubernetes data platform. Today, we are delighted to be taking one step further and share some exciting things we've been up to, including a next-generation solution that helps meet the needs of a growing unstructured data landscape, a secret advantage in everybody's cloud-native journey, and a new model in our Evergreen family that further uncomplicates the increasingly as-a-service world. But that's not all. You'll also hear inspiring customers speak about the innovations and breakthroughs they have made possible as part of their journey with Pure. So in this first segment, I'd like to introduce Amy Fowler and Matt Burr from our FlashBlade team to deliver some exciting news. To set some context, it's clear by now that Flash is the future, and Pure is charting the path by modernizing storage infrastructure as we work towards the all-flash data center. And we are doing this today by building on our direct-to-flash strengths applied to the least complicated product portfolio in the industry. A scale-up architecture for latency-intensive applications in FlashArray, and a scale-out architecture for bandwidth-intensive applications in FlashBlade, both with Purity software. Why? Because we believe the all-flash data center is inevitable. And there are many reasons to be excited about that inevitability. First off, we know building a sustainable technology infrastructure is an important element in many of your ESG commitments. The right all-flash solutions can significantly reduce environmental footprint by requiring less power, space, and cooling. It's not just about green, though. All-flash delivers the performance you need to maintain a competitive advantage. All-flash offers the speed, portability, and durability that complex nature of unstructured data requires. Today, we highlight our direct-to-flash strengths with our focus on FlashBlade, Pure's flexible, unified, fast file and object scale-out platform that is the choice for organizations tackling the most challenging machine-generated unstructured data requirements. FlashBlade has it all, enabling simple, non-disruptive IT operations, delivering outstanding performance, while increasing efficiency, productivity, and cost savings. And we are taking that to new heights. Please welcome me in welcoming Matt Burr and Amy Fowler.
Wow. Yo, give it up for our DJ, Jason. I told Jason I have the same set of decks, so I might be taking over. I have the same set of decks that he's using in my living room, so I might be taking over those decks at some point. But anyway, that's not the point. It is really good to see you all in person.
It's really good to see you all, but it's also a little crazy to see like the past 5 years of our professional lives condensed into 45 seconds.
So little family story since we're on that path here. I don't have any pictures, but I have my 5-year-old turned 6 on Friday, and he was 1 when we launched FlashBlade. So that's how I've kind of gapped the time. So kind of no sleep launching the first version. Getting a lot of sleep now, but same stress over launching this new thing. But man, is it going to be fun?
It is going to be really fun because when we think back to 5 years ago when we introduced FlashBlade, we were making some pretty big bets. And actually, a lot of you told us repeatedly we were making big bets, often in the form of, wow, that's really bleeding edge, and are you sure it's not a little ahead of its time? Because we were betting that unstructured data would not only continue to grow, of course, but that it would demand increasing levels of performance. We were betting that fast object would become table stakes, that it would no longer be relegated to the slow, cheap, and deep archive, and that applications ranging from Splunk to Commvault to Snowflake would want to take advantage of the simplicity of the S3 protocols. We were betting that AI would go mainstream, especially in the enterprise. And we were betting that simplicity would matter as much, if not even more, in the scale-out, unstructured data market versus where we'd seen it play out very significantly in the block market. Most importantly, we were betting that our customers would benefit from being able to cost-effectively address a diverse set of technical and business challenges being thrown their way, and that we could deliver that through something that we started to call like better science.
Better science. Look, I think better science is a pretty tongue-in-cheek, kind of phrase. Charlie hit this in the earnings call, and it really is, looking at the industry who are essentially building products on commodity components. We're not building things on commodity components. We're building high technology that drives value. And so, when we talk about better science, we kind of mean, what does it mean to have a metadata structure that can essentially scale infinitely to hundreds of billions of objects, right? Or eliminate the overhead associated with an off-the-shelf SSD. These are all things that are major benefits. It's a software architecture, that takes advantage of hardware technology. We're bringing the hardware up near the headroom of our software. Right? That's always been Pure's mantra is we have software that sits here, we got to bring the hardware up to here. Commodity won't get us there. Commodity just won't do it. So when we think about, what that means for, kind of the lifetime of a system, and I'm really pleased that Charlie touched on this morning. I hadn't seen him rehearse, so I didn't know exactly what he was or how long he was going to be talking about it. But oh wow, that was actually kind of funny because you did go long. Just to be clear, like good job. Charlie gives everybody else a hard time for going wrong, so Charlie went long too. But the point of this is that we are on that thread of sustainability and thinking about things in terms of decades and usability and reuse and repurpose, as opposed to throwing things away and not getting use out of those things.
So what do you think? Do you think there's any of this better science, innovative, high technology somewhere here in this tent that we could show everyone?
I would say there's a lot of it, but there's one in particular that I think most people are here ready to see. So how do you want to do this?
Well, let's roll the video first.
Okay.
Yeah.
We spend so much time on the unnecessary, the unknown, the unruly. What we need is the uncomplicated. FlashBlade S. It makes complex data storage simple, eliminating chaos, combining hardware and software innovation, decoupling capacity and performance, while delivering power, space, and cost efficiency, evolving over time to meet your needs now and in the future. This is the last scale-out storage platform you'll ever need.
Okay, so So I would say here comes the trapeze act of this part of the performance, right? Like this is going to be. We got to see if we can pull this one off.
Oh, okay, yeah.
How do you want to do it?
Well, so I mean, do we want to tell them where it is?
Yeah.
But we don't want them to all leave this room and go out and check it out yet.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're going to tell you guys where it is. Do not go out and look at it. There will be an opportunity to go out and look at it. You will be able to see it, touch it, feel it, pull the DFMs, talk to Tago and Amrita. They will be out there because they're awesome and they can help you see it and understand it. But we're going to find a way to celebrate this thing.
I say let's do a countdown.
Countdown?
Everybody with us?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go down.
You guys ready? 3, 2, 1. There it is.
Whoa. I can't dance.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
A lot of work went into that thing. A lot of work went into that thing. So, look, we're super proud of this, and there's a lot of people that contributed to this. But what makes, kind of FlashBlade S so special is what I referred to earlier. It's hardware that meets the capacity of the software and vice versa. And it's a philosophy that's shared by, several, I think, pretty smart companies.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that we are in good company with having this approach. We see these other organizations that deliver truly exceptional products. And we all kind of seem to share a common way of thinking. And
yeah, we're kind of missing the slide, but those companies would be Apple, and they would be Azure, they would be the cloud providers, it would be Tesla, right? These are companies that are marrying hardware and software to make good things. Oh, there's our slide, so I don't need to use props. Oh, the slide's back there, but the slide's not up here. Anyway, if you can all turn around for 1 second and look at that one monitor, we can make this work. We got it now. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so we didn't just decide to start with this approach as we started building the FlashBlade S product, though, did we?
Of course not. This is the result of a lot of good technology decisions that our founder Kaz made early on, who had this belief that if you could rewrite the I/O substack above NAND instead of just repurposing the one that you wrote above disk. I know I just lost some of the people in the room, but I definitely got some of the other people, so that's great. I'll take the technical people right now. Everybody else, you can kind of tune out for a second. But those choices then bled over to people like Rob Lee and Brian Gold, who really were the sort of originators of this FlashBlade product. And one of the key decisions was not to use off-the-shelf SSDs. So that allows us to and have internal controllers that allow us to manage kind of each drive, right? So instead of having the overhead with a packaged SSD, we've taken all of that out of the mix. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to use the same direct fabric modules, or DFMs, because we are acronym people. I have to remind myself to say direct fabric module before I say DFM. DFM technology from the flash array. This is a big, big seminal moment for us. We're using the same QLC drives from the flash array C that are now in the FlashBlade S. And so what that does is it unlocks about 20% more capacity from the NAND. And I want to think about that, right? 20% can kind of, is that a good number? Like, I don't know, 20%? 20% of an exabyte is a big number. And that is the direction that we're heading. 20% of an exabyte. 4% in exabyte scale is a monstrous number. 20% is huge. So think about this. Today, 30 terabyte QLC enterprise SSDs are what ship in the market. In the FlashBlade S, we are shipping 48 terabyte drives, 4 per blade, up to 10 blades, right? Not only that, right? This is kind of that point that Charlie was referring to earlier. You can take the path, you can take the commodity path, and you can put hardware in there, or you can take the software path. Which one do you want to do? Do you want to do the work to create the right thing, or do you want to create the best thing, the better science thing, or do you want to find the way that just gets it out fast? By the way, guess what? Neither one is wrong. One is just better.
I mean, if you really sum it up, it's effectively that our hardware innovation and our hardware software co-design it's been really focused on two key things from a FlashBlade perspective, right? The first is exabyte scale, exabytes eventually, but also unmatched efficiency in terms of power, density, and performance. You heard Charlie talk a lot about that this morning as well. When you think about it from the perspective of potentially needing to have your storage system support up to hundreds of billions of objects, you understand why you would need a nearly infinitely scalable metadata architecture underneath. Now, when you're talking about efficiency, what you don't want is to need a big layer of SCM to front-end your QLC as kind of like a caching tier just to pin your metadata and get the level of performance and resiliency that you're looking for. This efficiency, as you keep hearing us talk about, is one of the things that we are most proud and excited about in FlashBlade S. And in fact, it's actually the most efficient scale-out platform on the market in terms of the sustainability metrics that matter most to you. Terabytes per watt, gigabyte per second per watt, terabyte per rack unit. And we're going to only continue to enhance that advantage over time. Now, just to get into a little bit more detail, Matt kind of touched on this, but a single chassis can support up to 40, 48 terabyte drives. That's how we get to up to nearly 2 petabytes, and it effectively comes in two flavors, the S200 for ultimate efficiency and the S500 for extreme performance. And we're delivering more than twice the performance, density, and power efficiency of the original FlashBlade.
So it seems like we're pretty aligned to Charlie's messaging about
we've been paying attention.
innovation. It's like we've been listening to our CEO. Who would do that? Favorite aspect of FlashBlade S?
Definitely the modular disaggregated architecture.
Oh, modularity?
Yeah.
Modularity matters?
It does.
Rob Lee is in the front here smiling, laughing, because we've had multiple debates about modularity. And look, if you think about what we've done, we've disaggregated the storage from the compute, right? So that means that capacity and performance can be upgraded independently. So let's think about this in the reverse. If those two things are married, your costs are always going to go up because both things have a cost to it. What we've done is we've made it so that you can customize your platform and your configuration to tailor it to your workload. If you need capacity, add capacity. You don't need to add performance. If you want to add performance but don't want to add capacity, we can add performance. That is a very, very, very key and critical component to being able to design what you need, not buy more than you need. So with every component being modular, we move much closer to what I think some folks here know of the flash array model. So our DFMs, our CPUs, our networking, they all leverage the latest innovations in the industry. And what's important is that they can leverage those innovations as we move forward, non-disruptively in the chassis, in a modular fashion. So, the core principle here is a move towards modularity, and that is, what enables, by the way, Evergreen. And I say this every time I'm on stage. Everybody's heard it before. I'll say it until I know it's understood by every person on the planet. Evergreen is not a business program. It is an engineering philosophy. It is that which enables us to get to the sustainability claims that Charlie made this morning, right? Like, we have a social and moral obligation, I believe, to be more efficient in how we use things like power. Charlie hit on it. We're gonna pass a world off to our children that is not the world that was handed to us. And so I view this sort of passionate desire to get to modularity as one that does actually, in some way, tie to the environment. And I think that's a good thing.
So I think you can really see this flexibility and modularity from the image up here. You heard we can scale from up to 10 blades in a single chassis, up to 4 direct flash modules or DFMs per blade, but you aren't tied to a specific performance capacity curve for your workload. We know your needs can change over time, and we want to provide that investment protection so that you could start with 7 24 terabyte direct flash modules as the smallest configuration in that chassis, and up to, again, that nearly 2 petabytes. And this modular...
Hold up. 2 petabytes, what?
Almost 2 petabytes raw.
In what capacity?
A single chassis.
And how big's a single chassis?
5U.
Everybody got that? 2 petabytes of 5U? No server around it? Servers are in the blades?
Looks like that. Looks like that. You can go see it later. I think the most important thing, though, is that this modularity ensures that it can evolve with your organization's requirements over time. You don't need to, as Matt talked about, totally anticipate exactly where your requirement's going to come from. We can continue to grow and evolve the system to meet your specific organizational needs.
Okay, broken record time. because I've been a broken record on this for, I'm going on my 12th, I'm approaching my 12th anniversary of Pure. I was recently told that that's not how other companies work. But apparently, every 3 years, big storage shows up at your facility and says, hi, can I have your frame back? Because I'd like to sell you something new, right? Well, I don't think that's actually the best way to push this, right? If you think about the way that the FlashArray model has run, right? And I know that Evergreen and FlashArray, we have customers in this room that have enjoyed nearly a decade of non-disruptive Evergreen upgrades. Think about that. Think about that. Bill Gates said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, we all expect things like self-driving cars in 2 years, and we're disappointed when they don't happen. When we look back at things from a decade, we're shocked at how much changed. Think about the person that runs storage in an environment that has had the same virtual serial ID number or has had a system that's gone from a dual controller modular shelf expansion architecture to the FlashArray XL today. That is 10 years of evolution, and maybe that system is the same size or smaller. It's just faster and better. That's pretty incredible. And the FlashBlade S architecture delivers similar capabilities for us now on unstructured workloads. That's why I like to say, other storage gets worse over time, and the truth is, our storage literally gets better over time.
Who gave you that line?
You did, so you should explain it.
Okay.
I did steal that from Amy, so. Yeah.
All right, so while our architecture is highly differentiated in terms of delivering a scale-out unstructured data platform, what really makes FlashBlade S a game changer is how we leverage that architecture to deliver rapid and ongoing improvements to our customers. And so with FlashBlade S, we can support all of the Evergreen elements. So that's all-inclusive software, so that as we continue to deploy and develop new features and functionality, you're able to take advantage of it. It's full trade and credit and capacity consolidation, so that you never have to buy the same terabyte twice. It's blade upgrades, so that as we ride the Intel curve with all of this modularity, if you want to take advantage of the next something, whatever comes after, the S200 and the S500 in the next couple of years, you're able to seamlessly upgrade to that, and we do all of this non-disruptively. In addition, FlashBlade S is available in this very wide set of very flexible consumption choices. I think we're going to hear even more about that from Prakash next. But at the end of the day, when it comes to uncomplicating unstructured data storage forever, our whole goal here is really to ensure that FlashBlade S is the last scale-out storage platform that you'll ever need.
Last?
Last.
Definitively? Agreed.
Well, at least
can
for the next
confirm.
10 years, at least till 10 years, at least till Mason can drive. How about that?
What's that?
At least 10 years, at least till Mason can drive.
Oh, wow. You're right. Mason will be driving in 10 years. Okay. So, what is amazing about FlashBlade S, right, is the ability to revolutionize some of the most advanced workloads in the industry, okay? So whether that's modern analytics or rapid restore and ransomware recovery, high-performance computing, EDA, these are really big workloads. And these unstructured data environments are really what will change our world, hopefully for the better, over the next decade. If we think about the things we use and we think about the things that we want, most of those are based on things that are going to come from unstructured data research, whether that's unstructured data, cancer research, all kinds of medical breakthroughs. We're going to see a huge change over the next 2 decades due to the access of that cold data. 3 years ago, I stood on the stage. Many of you were probably here, and there was a big blue sign behind me that said "No cold data." We're getting closer. That's happening. And Kaz is probably right. There's a world for tape and there's a world for flash, and everything in between, that's all flash. What I'm most excited about, though, is AI. And to sort of go along with this announcement or to celebrate this announcement, we're also announcing the FlashBlade Airy S. So we're partnered with our friends at NVIDIA to bring something special to market. And we're going to leverage the FlashBlade S, the NVIDIA DGX, the NVIDIA networking, and we're going to find a fast and simple enterprise and, quite frankly, mid-enterprise or commercial pre-packaged and pre-validated AI platform. And here to talk about our partnership is someone that I have a great relationship with, known for 4 years. I'm super pleased to have him here. He's a really, really smart guy. So I'd like to welcome Tony Packaday from NVIDIA onto the stage.
Tony, it's so good to see you again, and it's so hard not to keep saying, like, it's so good to see you in person
Yeah,
as opposed
thank you
to
for
on that
having
little
me.
Zoom screen.
Excited to be here. This is awesome. In person.
In person. So, we've enjoyed a great mutual partnership for several years now, and I think it's very fair to say when we introduced AIRI, AI-ready infrastructure, almost 4 years ago, I mean, this was really we were really pioneers at the time, right? To drive that intersection of AI and simple, scalable, integrated infrastructure. What are your thoughts on how things have changed and the role for AI for organizations today?
Well, it's, I think back to 2018 when we first found ourselves in the same meeting rooms, in front of the same customers over and over again, helping them solve the challenge of scaling AI infrastructure for some pretty incredible work, world-leading research, some of the largest hyperscale type organizations out there, helping them figure out how to design complex infrastructure, solving the design complexity, systemizing it, operationalizing it, all these challenges. And they essentially told our two companies, hey, you guys need to get together and make this simple, make it easier to scale with predictable performance that's manageable. And out of that, we gave birth to AIRI, essentially, and we're incredibly excited, incredibly pleased of what our customers have been doing with that platform for the last few years. Essentially, everything from autonomous vehicle system development to the world's largest social media giants to recommender systems to natural language processing. We've seen it all. And what I'm really excited is that the world of AI has shifted from what used to be a lot of big science in academia, no offense to big science in academia, but to pragmatic use cases that every enterprise, probably every enterprise in this room, can now power their business with. We have mutual customer in Brazil, Citi, that's a research and development arm for Samsung that's building the next generation of language models to serve the Portuguese market. Hundreds of millions of customers on their devices being able to interact in a natural way with services powered by AI trained on AIRI.
So that is, it's exciting to have seen the evolution and whatnot, and we've been excited to watch the evolution of the DGX platform. Everyone has just heard all about the path that we've been on with FlashBlade, but we've gone from DGX1 in the initial AIRI, and you went to DGX2, A100, and just recently at GTC, I think, announced your next-gen platform as well, so we're looking forward to that. So can you share a little bit more about that path you've been on and what it means for our mutual customers?
I was thinking earlier, too, when you and Matt were talking about hundreds of billions of objects. We're living in a world where natural language models are going into the trillions of parameters, right? This is to deliver superhuman language understanding that can power so many different aspects of a customer's business. And the reality is that today's computational problems that our customers are solving are truly data center scale. So we've had to focus intently about systemizing the entire stack, from the AI frameworks to the models that we pre-train, to the communication, to the primitives, the drivers, libraries, right down to the GPU, and then especially the storage that feeds that. And so we've had to think about all these layers, optimizing them, and delivering an integrated stack that can power it all. And that's why I'm so excited about what we're doing now with AIRI S.
We talked a lot about efficiency in the past hour or so. And as you think about the elements of what makes this the right time to introduce AIRI S to the market, is that part of it? And what else comes top of mind of why it's the right time for us to double down on this partnership and on our joint solutions?
Yeah, if you look at the world we're in right now, amidst challenging times, it's never been more important for organizations to focus on growing the top line, saving costs everywhere, streamlining operations. But essentially, AI is rooted in all of those things. And who's the hero of AI? It's IT. IT people get to be the hero of scaling AI capability across their enterprise. So it's never been a more important time for IT leaders and their teams to think about infrastructure, to think about platform and strategy that can actually democratize access to AI development resources across an entire enterprise, such that they can do these incredible things. So I think the timing is perfect for teams to think about AI as their AI center of excellence, as their way to give AI development resources to all their developers.
Well, I certainly couldn't agree more. And I think the synergy between our two organizations on so many levels, but especially as it relates to our roadmaps, has been fantastic. And thank you again so much for the collaboration on this project, on this solution, and for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Wow, thank you, Tony. Much appreciated. Okay, dawn of a new day. I like that. That's a good slide choice. Whoever picked that one. I'm super excited about our partnership with NVIDIA. It's been a tremendous partnership to this date, and I can only see us expanding this in multiple directions. Look, we're entering the second decade of the transition from disk to flash. I think if you were to ask people, 10 plus years ago, when flash really began to emerge, they would say, how long is this transition going to take? Nobody really knew. But I think we know now. The last decade was about block storage. That transition's still happening. Doesn't mean that the block transition is done. There's a long way to go on the block side. But the economics have reached the point where now that's beginning to happen on the unstructured data side. Charlie hinted at that this morning as well. And for us, it's an opportunity for us to be a catalyst again in this industry. We are riding a macro trend of the transition from disk to flash, but there are points in time when we, as Pure Storage, with our customers and our partners, can accelerate that trend. And this is actually one of those points. So, if we think about, kind of what that means for all of us, right? It means that we have to think about what are the right applications for flash and how do we get there. Okay, so FlashBlade S, obviously building on our flash experience, it brings the power of Evergreen, to modern file and object workloads is wonderful, and the time for FlashBlade S is obviously now. We've seen that in the market. We're going to continue to do as well as we have with our customers. Scratch that. We're going to continue to over-deliver and continue to drive more value for our customers. But we're also going to continue to push the sustainability aspect of our business because I do believe that's an important part for us, an important role for us to play as we go forward in the future. Okay, I'd be remiss if I didn't do this. First of all, a big thank you to our customers and our partners who traveled here. Thank you. We're coming off of a 2-year pandemic, and nobody can tell me there isn't a little bit of anxiety with traveling and sleeping in a hotel, so I get it. Thank you for coming. Most importantly, thank you for being just wonderful partners. I love our partner community. It was such a great time at APF, the America's Partner Forum yesterday. Great job, Wendy. And just get to see some of the partners, over the last 24 to 36 hours that I haven't seen in a while. And thank you for being so gracious for those of you who I didn't remember your names and your faces. You were all really kind. Nobody made me feel bad. To our customers, you're the best. Our Net Promoter Score is a reflection of your feedback. As I mentioned, I'm going on my 12th year here, and I can honestly say a huge part of the reason that I'm here is because of our customers. I am proud of the way that our customers use our technology, the way they talk about our technology, the way they support our company, the way they support our business, and ultimately the way they believe in what they believe in by continuing to invest in our products. So thank you very much. The last group of people I want to thank are actually internal Pure people. This FlashBlade launch is a 2.5-year product evolution in the making, and there are several hundred engineers back at headquarters and in Prague and soon to be in Bangalore that contributed to this. And to that team, I want to give my heartfelt thanks for everything that went into this. It wasn't easy, as no product launch ever is, but I am just really, really appreciative and proud of the effort the team put in. They deserve a tremendous round of credit for what they put in for the FlashBlade launch. Okay, so It's super cool. It's in the vestibule. I promise you guys can see it. And Rita and Tago will be out there. They can show you whatever you want to show. You can pull out the DFMs. You can look at the drives. It's plug and play. You can do whatever you want to do with it. It's awesome. But you don't have to hear that from me. I thank you for your time and your attention. And we're going to roll the video and hear what some customers have to say about FlashBlade S.
My name is Mike DeHaan. I'm an enterprise architect for the Mississippi Department of Revenue.
I'm Jeff Bethe, Vice President, IT Infrastructure Services for Sirius XM Satellite Radio.
Some of the very high bottlenecks that we had finally run up against on our FlashBlade, those issues weren't there anymore, so we were able to take fast and make it faster.
The workloads that we were throwing at the FlashBlade, now everything just runs that much smoother, that much quicker, and again, it just works. Being able to see the numbers and the performance that we saw, and knowing that we have the ability to scale that out further, faster, better than we did before, are all fantastic successes that we've seen in this beta.
These data silos for really specific workloads, it is so adaptable and moldable that we've been able to slide a lot of dissimilar workloads right next to one another, and they all perform well. As data footprints have been growing, so has power consumption, and it's become a real sticking point for us because we can only have so much electricity in our racks that we're in some of our shared spaces, and the FlashBlade really does minimize consumption.
We've also measured the power consumption, which is several 100% less than what we had before. And that all maps directly over to the sustainability. That's good for the business, that's good for Sirius XM, it's good for everybody. It's a win-win-win straight across the board.
Thank you. Thank you to Amy and Matt. It's exciting to see FlashBlade build on our direct-to-flash strengths to reach new heights in its journey in helping customers navigate and thrive in the unstructured data world. We're also focused on helping customers modernize their applications. Pure customers are reinventing their businesses and dominating their industries by building modern applications. And of course, modern app development is all about a new technology stack based on Kubernetes and containers. Portworx is the market leader in cloud-native Kubernetes data management. It's the only data management platform that is able to provide enterprise-grade, at-scale container storage coupled with data protection workflows such as Kubernetes backup, disaster recovery, and migration. With Portworx, you get true portability between on-premises, hybrid cloud, and multi-cloud environments with full automation of operations, application and data management to enable developers to maximize their productivity. Modern apps are backed by a growing number of SQL, NoSQL, search, streaming, and analytics data services. At Pure, of course, we are all about simplicity. And now, with Portworx, you can simply enable modern workloads with one-click modern data services experiences, so developers can focus on using data services and not managing them. Murli from our Portworx team will tell you more. Welcome to the stage, Murli.
Hi, Ajay. Welcome again, everyone. We live in a competitive world. The fast are eating the slow, and the fast and smart companies are racing ahead of everybody else. Going fast with technology today is about automation, using technologies like containers and Kubernetes. And the smart companies are layering on AI and ML to win with their data. So I'd like to invite you sometime today to make your way to the rear end of this tent to the Portworx Pavilion in the back. There you'll see how Portworx can help you with containers and Kubernetes to deliver data management, data protection, and data services for modern apps. Get them to production and scale quickly with Portworx. Think of Portworx as your data partner for containers and Kubernetes. So what I'd like to do next is showcase how Comcast went smart and fast for their video on demand business with the help of Portworx. I think if you look at the video, you'll see that I'm wearing the same shirt that I wore today that when I was interviewing Paul Davis. We folks at Pure sure love our orange. So here's Paul Davis.
Really excited to chat with you today, Paul. Looking forward to this.
Thank you for having me, Murli, and happy to be here.
Paul, most of the US audience, of course, knows about Comcast, but for our global audience, can you tell us a bit more about the company?
Sure. Comcast is headquartered in Philadelphia, and it's the second largest broadcast and television, cable television company. But it's also the largest media and entertainment company, serving 53 million subscribers around the world. Comcast is also the parent company to many names that you may have heard of before, like Sky, NBC Universal, DreamWorks, and many more.
Of course, Comcast has been a Portworx customer for about 5 years plus now, and it's been a great partnership. You're a great example of what we call a co-create partner. And a co-create partner or customer is one who's helped us test and develop right from the early days our solution and helped improve it. And it's been something that we've done with you for a while now over the years. So while we kind of look at where we are today, can you roll back a little bit and tell us how this whole thing got started?
Sure. As you mentioned, we started working with Portworx about 5 years ago. The catalyst to start working with Portworx was I was put in charge of taking apps that support video infrastructure to a next generation infrastructure platform like Kubernetes. While evaluating options for Kubernetes for persistent storage, performance that Portworx provided really led to that question being asked, what else can we use it for? And that conversation led to a POC and further building a cloud-based, cloud-like, as a service platform for observability, supporting the video infrastructure that I was part of.
So how did the POC work out?
Really well. That POC turned into a full production project in 1 month. And the underpinnings of the platform is what really helped. So it helped Comcast save millions in operational cost with the observability program. The system provided the ability to quickly identify issues that are long running, as well as new issues that popped up. And that really helped to reduce that overall failure rate to under 1%. So pretty big difference from where we started.
So the people who were affected by these failures were your video on demand customers, I assume. These are the folks who are taking the time on Friday night to go watch a movie and really don't want to see a failure happening during that time. That's right?
Right. When you consider failure rate in percentages, it doesn't seem very big. But if you can imagine 1% of 53 million subscribers playing something, and 1% of that failure is still a pretty big number. So bringing it down as close to zero as possible is very important. So those affected were customers that are trying to watch Comcast provided content. Time is limited for all of us. So when consumers spend time to watch this Comcast-provided content, it's important that the content is available and ready to play when they're ready to watch it. So very mission critical. And after that early success, we realized that we could make a business case for how to evolve and expand into other business areas within Comcast. So now we support voice, we support networking, we support advertising, IoT apps, and online apps, along with legacy video apps that we started with.
So, Paul, tell us a bit about your technology strategy in production.
So the system is based on Kubernetes and Portworx, but also Elasticsearch and Kafka, to name the core pieces. Portworx really made it simple. It looks like local storage, and it's easy to leverage. So we don't require a separate storage team to manage and operate our Portworx clusters. We can move things around in Kubernetes without impacting our service. And really that ease of scale that we get with Portworx has been instrumental in our success. In 12 months, a key data point here is that we have more than doubled our utilization. And I'll get to the numbers in a second. But today we touch all lines of the business, and we are located in the US and in EU. We're also expanding into EMEA and to Australia. So lots going on.
That's a big environment. So, lots of demands, I presume, on not just performance, but reliability, availability, and security.
Yes, it really is a big logging system. I guess to mention some of the numbers, we support over 175 terabyte of ingest per day. And we store over 4.3 trillion documents. We ingest at greater than 2.5 million events per second. So it's a very complicated and large system, all underpinned by Portworx.
That's amazing. I know from the Portworx perspective, we aim to be a customer-first organization, and you sure have helped us kind of build reliability, scale, and availability into our product. So it's been a great partnership for us.
Yeah, we are definitely a demanding customer for sure. We don't mind taking some risks to aggressively push our agenda forward. And Portworx has kept pace with us and embraced it. So that has definitely made it a great partnership. In fact, the new PX Fast system is a direct result of this partnership and collaboration. So we push hard, and Portworx has been there with us, making improvements in performance and scale that advanced users of Kubernetes will definitely be benefiting from. So as mentioned, it has been a great partnership, and it's been that way since the beginning. So we appreciate that.
Paul, it's been a great partnership indeed. I really appreciate all that you've done for us. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and we really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Murali. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that sure is a great success story for Paul Davis and Comcast. Next, I'd like to welcome to the stage my colleague, Surbi Paul, who runs product marketing for Portworx. Welcome, Surbi.
Hey, Murali. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here and excited to hear the partnership between Comcast and Portworx.
Yeah. So can you share some of the announcements that Portworx made recently, and what are some of the key problems that we solve for customers of Kubernetes?
Of course. It's truly exciting to see that Portworx Data Services, PDS in short, fully supports 6 data services on one platform, including Cassandra, Postgres, RabbitMQ, Kafka, Redis, and Zookeeper. So if you're a DevOps team and you want to get empowered to run one platform, operate one API, and manage one solution for multiple databases, going forward, PDS is the way to go. And we're not going to stop here, as many more databases and data services will be supported by PDS in the near future. So for all you DevOps and site reliability engineers, The future is here. And as you saw in the demo from the keynote, Portworx Data Services is so simple that anyone can deploy a new instance of a database within seconds with a few clicks. So get started immediately with Portworx Data Services, one platform for any database, and contact your Portworx sales rep.
Hey, fantastic. So congrats to the Portworx Data Services team. PDS does allow fast and simple operation and deployment of databases. Now, PX Enterprise, our flagship product, is something that allows customers to go from production really fast to being scaling even faster. So what are some of the new use cases we support for that?
Yes, Murli. So if you are an application architect or a developer or a platform owner who is building or wanting to build Kubernetes apps in production, we have announced 5 new use cases of Portworx Enterprise, including multi-tenant platform as a service, 5G and edge, lift and shift of VMs to containers, unified storage overlay for containers, and next-gen performance and scale apps. And this is all going to be supported by upcoming rich capabilities or features of Portworx Enterprise.
So, right, really exciting. So, as we see customers move to production, one of the key concerns that everyone has is data protection. Now, Kubernetes poses some unique challenges in this area. What do we have for customers here?
Well, for customers who need an easy button for protecting Kubernetes apps, we are very proud to have recently announced general availability of Portworx Backup as a Service, BaaS, for any Kubernetes services. It's based on the foundation of PX Backup, which is the market-leading Kubernetes data protection platform. So Portworx BaaS unlocks Amazon auto-discovery of Amazon EKS clusters today, and one-click backup and restore operations for all Kubernetes services anywhere, on-prem or in the cloud of your choice. And in the future, we expect to support auto-discovery for other Kubernetes services as well.
Yeah. So that looks like an excellent portfolio of products and
scalability and hyper-personalization. We know our customers want outcomes delivered as services, and that we can simplify customer operations further by offering SLAs. We are continually expanding and working to further Pure's as-a-service capabilities. It's not just a financial model. It's a true service with SLAs in how customers are able to interact with their data and their storage. Our Evergreen subscription, the foundation for the cloud operating model, has successfully delivered over 10,000 non-disruptive controller upgrades to more than 3,000 customers. Recognizing the need for further flexibility and transparency across storage, we are introducing a new fleet-level Evergreen architecture. This unlocks stranded capacity to move it to where it is needed most, beyond the concept of an appliance, backed by an asset utilization model, which provides the most cost and energy-efficient way to run a fleet of storage arrays. Evergreen capabilities to modernize technology seamlessly deliver new software and hardware components so customers can use capacity where it's needed in their fleet and pay for the capacity based on the performance tier that is used.
Yeah, so Mattersight purchased its first Pure Storage arrays in 2012. Since 2016, I've been through 2 Evergreen upgrades, and we've been able to keep the existing arrays that we've got. We've been able to keep them in place and just kind of upgrade them and keep moving along without having to have any disruption to service. We've increased, overall load capacity by adding those arrays, which has allowed us to expand their use. The biggest benefit to Evergreen to me is being able to create a perpetual storage array, one that doesn't require array migrations. think one of the other great things about Evergreen too, as your disk densities grow, you can actually almost shrink the size of your array. You kind of almost have a shrinking footprint over time.
Everyone, please welcome Vice President and General Manager, Digital Experience, Prakash Darji.
All right. Well, it's great to see the impact Evergreen has had. Thank you, Nice Systems. So I'd like to start off with a personal story. A lot of you guys can probably relate to it. I'm a dad. That's my son. You can see him back there. And you know what? I'm going to take you back 2 years. Full-time parent, 8-year-old child. I was a chauffeur. Took him to MMA, took him to piano lessons, and a myriad of other activities. Because why? My job is to make sure he gets better over time. He needs to learn. Now, COVID hit. We all know what happened. Well, MMA is terrible for COVID. You don't want kids in each other's faces. So what do? We flipped to fencing. Because guess what? 6-foot sword, masks, made for COVID. Right? Piano flipped to online. My living room turned to a COVID Zoom room. And I think we all know how that kind of went, right? It was just this massive agility required as a parent to flip your world upside down. Now let's talk about IT. What happens in IT, right? Just like with my kids, needed to make sure they got better over time. We know technology needs to get better over time. Does legacy storage get better over time? Hard no. Do we, Evergreen, make storage get better over time? But what about the flexibility you need? Because when you're running storage at scale, you don't have one box. We've got some customers nearing 1,000 systems. So you need to rethink the flexibility. So with our portfolio, we've got Evergreen Forever. It makes sure technology gets better over time with a box. We all know it. We all love it. Everyone's talked about it. Well, Evergreen Flex combines something that we've done with Evergreen a decade ago, a technology innovation and a business model innovation. We're doing it yet again. This is the next major disruption in the industry where we're bringing a technology flexibility, unlocking and hyper disaggregating performance and capacity. Matt talked about a modular architecture. And combining it with a business model innovation where you pay for what you use. So our QLC products, FlashArray//C, FlashBlade S, you can use your capacity where you need it. Our TLC products, FlashArray X, XL, you can use the capacity where you need it. But to do that, how do we charge you? Well, we need to charge you based on where you use the capacity, right? Because that's the game we're doing. So we provide you usage flexibility, and financially, this means you're not over-provisioning budgets. Because stranded capacity consumes power and is waste. So, what does this mean? We were able to adapt. As a parent, I was able to adapt. But God, it was a ton of work. It was so much work to think about what I should do. I wish there was parenting as a service. Where, you know what? Someone would come in and flip your world for Zoom, right? Flip your child's activities so you could continue getting better over time. Well, guess what? To be fair, that doesn't exist in parenting, but it does exist in tech. With Evergreen One, let us do it for you. It's about the labor. It's about putting in the work, giving you an SLA to make your life better. That's what we want to do with tech. So, as we move forward, we have a responsibility to make sure things get better over time. Evergreen Forever makes the box better over time. Evergreen Flex now brings that to the power of the fleet and the portfolio, and Evergreen One modernizes your labor. We're always looking to get better over time. So this is the subscription to innovation, and that's why I'm excited that we were able to adapt during the pandemic. We're expanding the Evergreen family with the Evergreen portfolio. And now, let me bring to stage and introduce a new member to the family who we've kind of worked with for quite some time, Renee from Delta Airlines. He's going to go ahead and join us. Renee? Hey, man.
Hey.
So 2022, already off to a start, and I think people are flying again. We're all here, right? So I'm sure you've seen a bunch of changes happening. So how do you describe the last 2 years for you and your role at Delta?
Well, it's great to see everybody in person, and I hope you all flew Delta here, but if you didn't, it's okay, because we're all in person. The first 6 months, like most companies during the pandemic, we were worried about cost containment, just understanding how long the pandemic was going to last. And while we were working on the cost containment side with my peers at Delta, our CIO had a different idea. He saw it as an opportunity for us to accelerate our migration and updates of our applications and move them to the cloud. So we used that 18 months to start the acceleration to the cloud.
Wow. So look, you use that to adapt, persevere. I'm sure you've dealt with all of that disruption. So what's the most important innovation you see in the airline infrastructure that came out of the pandemic?
Well, I know that our app teams wrote a lot of apps to take away that anxiety when you traveled during the COVID era. Those teams did great work adapting to all the different countries, laws, and regulations. But one of the things that actually I'm most proud of that we got out of the pandemic is that we invested in our employees. We used to say we were an agile company, but we were just kind of doing agile. And we took the opportunity and we spent millions of dollars, and we're not done yet, of training not just the IT workforce, but our business partners internally to Delta to truly execute as agile. So that was kind of one of the biggest benefits I saw.
And what about storage, right? What do you see the role of Pure and Evergreen and how storage works in your landscape?
So it's funny, when I told somebody I was coming out to speak for Pure, they're like, well, they're just a storage company. It's commodity. And the way I like to see Pure is it's our data foundation. We built our on-prem cloud on the Pure Flash Stack design. We build our data protection schema around not only Pure, but with your partners with Cohesity. And that I was super excited to see the strategic acquisition of Portworx. As we're modernizing our apps and moving them to the cloud, I see now some capabilities that where we're lacking in maturity, that Portworx can absolutely help. Now, what I don't want to happen, though, is this discussion right now to end up on a Salesforce funnel, and I'm going to be called every 20 minutes to get a deal closed. But it's exciting to see that the innovation with Pure. So I don't see Pure as just a storage company. It's the foundation of our hybrid cloud.
Well, what about Evergreen Flex, right? You heard kind of about the new announcements. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I don't know how many of you here get perfect requirements when you start a project. The way I see this is the opportunity to land capacity in the data center and slowly grow into those requirements without that upfront capital spend. I know I struggle to see capital stranded and depreciating without actually business value. So I think it's a great announcement.
Awesome. So looking ahead, how do you see investments in tech like Evergreen benefiting Delta in the future? Because you got to build the future. What does the future look like to you?
Okay, I'm going to go a little bit off script here. Because I thought Evergreen was bullshit when I saw it the first time. The reason why I say that, I'm jaded. I've been in this industry, like most of you here, 20, 30 years. And you hear all this marketing jargon that they try to get you to say, oh, but ours is better, faster, cheaper. Well, they got me with Evergreen initially because it was predictable maintenance costs. That was the first thing that hooked me. But the upgrades of the environment, this past Thanksgiving, the month before Thanksgiving, we were able to upgrade 30 arrays in less than 30 days, non-disruptively, while airplanes are in the air, and have no hiccups whatsoever. And that truly was the value of Evergreen to me, that we saw that upgrade happen.
Well, thank you, Renee. I look forward to hanging out at the beer bash later today. but it's awesome to see what Evergreen has done for your business. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so our goal is to uncomplicate data storage forever, right? Our technology based on flexible storage operating system, but we use data to do it. Pure One collects the metrics, and our data science through AI Ops allows us to recommend and meet people where they're at on the journey. So whether you want to modernize to get non-disruptive upgrades with Evergreen Forever, just like Renee has done at Delta, or you want to modernize your portfolio with Evergreen Flex, or you just want to modernize labor, because which parent doesn't want to work less to make sure their kids get better over time, right? That's what we're about. So what's next? We're going to continue down this evolution of hyper disaggregating the modular architecture of performance and capacity, where you can bring the resources to where you need it. Living in California, I don't go over the border to buy avocados, right? That's not the way it works. I want avocados where I want them, right? Think about natural resources on the planet. You shouldn't have to move to get natural resources. They should come to you. So why is storage any different? We want to bring the resources to where you need them. Whether your applications, your VMs, your containers need more performance, need more capacity, we're bringing that beyond the box, looking at this at the fleet to solve a scalability challenge and an efficiency challenge to create the most efficient way to run at scale. The future's bright, so thank you. I'd like to welcome Ajay back to the stage. Very excited with everything we've been doing.
Thank you, Prakash and Renee. Exciting stuff. You can see why I'm personally excited as we press our advantages in direct-to-flash for unstructured data, drive outcome-focused SLAs, enabling the cloud operating model at the fleet level, building on our Kubernetes data management leadership to extend into simply deployable and manageable modern services. And this is just the beginning of our journey. After the keynotes, you will get a chance to deep dive in today's announcements in our breakout sessions and attend physical and virtual tracks across topics that matter the most to you, including analytics, big data, cloud, database, containers, data protection. First, though, our founder, Cause, has something special to share. Cause?
So, thanks, Ajay. And I just wanted to start by noting this is the original Pure Storage swag, the very first hoodie we did. And I was asked to wear it today because it's almost exactly 10 years ago today that we first shipped FlashArray, which also, not coincidentally, happens to be the same time as the peak disk shipment. Right? So think about it. From the time that we shipped the first all-flash array from Pure, that's when disk shipments peaked, and they've been going down ever since. And part of our job is to keep shrinking them down to next to nothing. So actually, it's warm enough now. I'm going to get rid of this. Anyway, so I wanted to talk a little bit about simplicity, about ease of use. You heard Charlie start talking about it. You heard Matt talk about it. It's been something that's been key to Pure for our entire existence, and it's something that we feel very strongly is key to the adoption of technology, to the customer experience. It's one of the most basic attributes of the company. So let's take a look at some examples of simplicity in action. We'll start by just thinking about something like a phone, right? Everybody can use a phone. Pretty much everybody learned how to use a phone a couple of years before your parents wanted you to learn how to use a phone. And it's simple, it's easy. As I said, everybody can use it. So why don't we take a look now at how easy it is to use a phone.
Okay, so go ahead and lift up the box. You have 4 minutes to dial that phone number.
That's it?
That's it. With that phone.
Wait, so you have to push it, right?
Kyle, move your butt over. I don't want your butt in the
My
video.
fingers don't...
There you go.
Look. It's all the way from here.
Yeah. 7.
Oh no, zero's all the way over. Crap, how do I restart?
Hurry up.
What is it?
8500. 8500.
10. We're done.
Oh, you did it?
Yeah, no, I didn't. It just... there's 5 seconds to do it.
0.
You would have done it.
0. We did it.
Okay, so as we know, every teenager knows how to use a phone. This phone is 1,000 times more complicated than that phone. Today, everybody knows how to use this. People obviously don't know how to use that. It's just a good lesson that what was simple is not necessarily always simple. When you do something all the time, when you do something on a regular basis, yes, it's easy. You learn it, you get used to it. It's simple, but when you don't do it, you kind of forget. So at Pure, one of the things we have to do is continue to reinvent simple all the time. It's a lesson that we've taken to heart through everything we do. Now, there's another aspect of simplicity. Once you make something complex, it's a little difficult to make it simple. And why don't we take a look at an example of something that was once simple that became a little more complex. So could we roll the next video?
Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come on and fly with me. Come fly with me. Fly with me.
So, flight, right? First plane, couple of hand controls, maybe a couple of foot controls, easy to fly. The 747, a marvel of technology. The plane, right, it's high tech, actually in production for 54 years. Right? Most of this audience is less than 54 years old. I think I'm not, but most of you are. That plane's been in production 54 years. Now, you can see the 747-100 cockpit, the original cockpit. That cockpit, 980 dials, gauges, and buttons. It needed a flight engineer. Now, can you imagine if every time we sold you a product, it came like, hey, I get one of our engineers to go out and sit with you all the time to run it. You had to have the pilot, the co-pilot, and a flight engineer. Now, they simplified the cockpit. So in the 90s, you came out with the 747-400 and then the 747-8. They got rid of 600 buttons, dials, and gauges. They don't need the flight engineer anymore. Now, is it simple? It's only got 385 controls, right? And you talk to pilots, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's so simple now. It's just like really easy. If you learn 980, yes, 365 is pretty simple. But none of us would go in and say, wow, yeah, that's really simple. I can fly it. It's just got a handful of controls. At Pure, as we release new products, the FlashBlade S, as we come out with Pure Fusion, as we develop Portworx and Portworx data services, we keep a huge focus on simplicity from the beginning. You cannot start with the product complex, start with controls for customers, start with knobs and dials, and then take them away. It does not work. The only way to do simplicity is to do it from the beginning and to get everybody focused on it. Every one of our engineers focuses on it. When you have some new feature and an engineer develops the interface and nobody knows how to use it until the engineer explains it. And then after the engineer explains it, it seems really logical. That is not simple. And you can't ever do that because, yes, the engineer might think logically, other engineers might think logically, users will not have the same mindset. So just to wrap up some of our thoughts in simplicity, let's take a look at how something like services have evolved over time. So what about something like food delivery as a service? Very modern concept. So why don't we take a look at how that's changed?
Now, fast, efficient delivery service. Milk to you in sanitary containers, sealed within a few hours from the time it left the cows. Milk untouched by human hand.
Daddy, I just can't wait. Bring it on home. Bring it on home. Bring it back home. Bring it back home to me, baby.
So, when I was a kid, milk came to the front door every day, nice and cold, fresh, and really convenient. It was in a box every day. You'd put out the old milk, and new milk would come fresh to the box from you. So I don't know that food delivery as a service has advanced that much over the years. It's gotten a little more diverse in what it can do. But the key is to keep it simple for the customer, to keep it as a service that is utterly flexible. And that's why we have so much of a focus on Evergreen Flex and Evergreen One, and of course Evergreen Forever to just keep your storage refreshed all the time. So with that, I just want to thank you. I want to remind you that we will keep the products simple, easy, accessible. It's a huge focus. And now I'd like to bring Jason back on stage.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaz, and I can't wait to join you for a real nice cold one later. A cold milk, that is. So for those of you here in person and online, we've got a great lineup of breakout sessions. You can see throughout the keynote today, between Evergreen, FlashBlade S, we've announced and released a number of amazing, innovative solutions for you to learn more about. So please take the time to go out, have a look. If you're online, you can explore tracks from cloud agility, analytics and AI, database, data protection, and of course, as Murley said, the Portworx Pavilion, where you can go play a lot of enjoyable games. Now, for all of us, we will also begin live streaming our Basecamp program for those of you online. So that should start at around 11:10, so just in a few minutes here, where you can learn the benefits of the entire Pure portfolio. And those are just a click away, both on desktop and on mobile. So I want to say thank you for being a fantastic virtual audience. I'm going to send you guys off to go watch those additional sessions and get on with your day. For those of you here in the room, obviously we are going to bump back our start time on the sessions a little bit, so we'll start at about 11:15, and you'll be able to take advantage of the full day and all of the sessions. And then, of course, if you want to take out your phones, we have the full agenda and all of the kind of great food, beverage, and I invite you to visit all of our employees in the Ask the Expert sessions outside and check out that new FlashBlade S that Matt and Amy announced a little bit earlier. And finally, of course, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you at tonight's Big Beer Bash. We can actually thank Joe Biden and all the world leaders visiting here in the area for extending that a little bit. So we'll have a little bit of extra time on the patio to enjoy some refreshments together. So thank you, and I'll look forward to seeing you all tonight. Thank you so much.